Greetings, everyone. Dale Green here,
Jonathan.
Hey, Gideon's Flight. As you guys know, we just wanted to take some time time out today, and just have a conversation. Jonathan and I put a lot of work in around leadership and really trying to understand how to be effective leaders. And so, a part of this series that we're doing right now, we're calling it character and leadership, and better yet, lessons that we can learn from Daniel. And if you don't know who Daniel is, Daniel was a prophet. It's in the Bible in biblical time. Babylonian, I think, was the empire at that particular time. But Daniel was a servant of the king in that time, and Daniel was confronted with some character issues based off of some laws that were passed, and it put him to the test. So what we want to do is share, some of those things. So let's get into the story, of Daniel. So Jonathan?
Daniel was he was pretty much a servant, and he had a strong belief in God, and he stood up for his convictions. And ultimately, he was set up by the king's servants, and he got sent to the lion den. And the king went to a frenzy because he's like, "Oh man, my best servant is gonna die." So the next day, the king went and looked for Daniel, and Daniel came unharmed.
Yes.
And towards the end, the king realized he was set up because Daniel said, these guys set you up because they was envious of me. And so the king sent them, their wives, and their children into the den.
Yeah, and it's a great story that when you have some time, you probably want to take and read. And I will tell you that, we talk about books, and to gain knowledge, you have to be willing to go and search out knowledge.
Absolutely. And
a wise man is an individual who doesn't shy away from information. A wise person is a man or woman. A wise person is someone who actually goes out and they seek out information. And I share this with you because a lot of times when you hear people talk about Bible, Jonathan, first thing people think about is religion. But the truth of it, yes, Bible can support religion. There's no question about it. Religion, most religions are centered around some type of biblical context. Mm. And so regardless of what religion they may be a part of or what faith that they may be looking at, that most of them are using some type of scripture learning. I say that to say that don't let the word Bible, stop you from researching and getting information and learning.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of information. So some of the best leadership books in the world, and you look back on the shelf, I'll give you some quick names. Empowering yourself. Let's see another one here. Execution. There's another one over here. Let's see what we got here. Passion for leadership. And I can go on and on and on with different books around how to be the best leader that you can be. But I will tell you, in all of that information and all of those books, and I've learned a lot from these books, Jonathan. I know you've read several books as well, because I know we share books.
Absolutely.
And share information from time to time. But I will tell you that the Bible has as much inside of it as any of those leadership books. So in essence, what am I trying to say? I'm saying that you can be, as you're looking for information, don't leave the Bible out of your leadership resource,
right.
if for lack of a better word. Don't.
What's some of the things you got from the book of Daniel, Cat? What's some of the lessons you learned?
Well, good. Glad you asked. Good question, Jonathan. Well, there were seven basic principles that I took away from the story of Daniel, and you can find the story. And thank you for getting me back on track. But you can find the story in the book of Daniel, chapter 6. It's the story that I'm going to tell you. I'll tell the audience the things that I gleaned from Daniel. And there are 7 different things. The first thing that I took away was that, preparation brings about preference. And Daniel was looked upon highly by the king inside of, his particular country, or the country that he was exiled to, because Daniel was always prepared. Daniel was someone, as you shared a moment ago, had a very good moral foundation up under himself. So whenever he wanted to make a decision, or the king needed insight, or different perspective, or a broader perspective, he would go to Daniel, and Daniel would bring about insight that the king didn't necessarily have, or he couldn't get from most of his people, because most of his people thought alike. Daniel thought out of the box. Right. So sometimes, as a leader or one who's aspiring to grow as a leader, you have to always, number one, you have to be prepared for the opportunity. And then, and if you want to get preference, then understanding that your preparation will open up that door for you. And Daniel, as when you read, it says that he had an excellent spirit, and because he had a good disposition about himself, he was fair. He cared about others as much as he cared about himself. It opened up an opportunity for him to get recognition. The second thing, so the first thing is preparation. It brings about preference. The next thing, number two, is persistence. And perseverance, because sometimes people will be upset because you got promoted before they did.
Absolutely.
And they will look at it. Well, how do you move this person ahead of me? I've been around here a lot longer. We've all heard that story, right?
Exactly.
But again, you can't get caught up in what people are going to say about you having opportunities to advance yourself. You have to be focused. And you have to understand if you put the work in and you have been given the opportunity, the naysayers will come, but you have to persevere. And you have to stay persistent, stay true to who you are, and obviously embrace that opportunity. So keep focused and always do the right thing. And just remember, whatever tricks or tools or weapons, I guess, that they may try to use against you, then at the end, as in the story of Daniel, it's not going to prosper. Number three is character, and here character is talking basically just your principles are not always going to be valued, but they are absolutely necessary. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. And we've heard that said many, many times. And that's simply meaning that, you have to have character and people have to know that you're going to do the right thing regardless. Mm-hmm. And in the story of Daniel, what I'm saying, what they did, and Daniel prayed a different way than what everybody else prayed. And so when they created the situation with the king, they manipulated the king. Mm-hmm. They said, look, king, you're the man. We think that, everybody should worship you for 30 days. And they knew Daniel wouldn't do that because Daniel's principles and value system would not allow him to make a man his God. Right. He saw man as man. He saw God as God. But they knew that if they could get the king to sign on, Daniel would walk into the trap. And with Daniel, when he saw it and he heard what they had come up with, he didn't walk into the trap. He walked into the trap, but he walked into the trap, as they say, with his eyes wide open.
Absolutely.
In other words, he was not afraid. And not only did Daniel continue to worship the way he worshiped, he opened up the window so everybody could hear it. So that's called, character. You can't, how you say, take heed while you stand, lest you fall. It's a better way of saying, in other words, be aware of who you are and what you're standing for. And then, and understand that your personal integrity depends on you being willing to take a stand for your convictions and things that you believe. Absolutely. Just make sure you're standing for the right thing. Number four would be being ethical as a leader. And said leaders must always hold themselves to a higher standard. Temptations will come to lower your ethics, but resist it, and you will be rewarded in time for doing so. So always, it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Right. You follow me? And Daniel did what was right because he knew based off of his value system, the things that caused him to not only persevere, but to gain presence was staying true to his value system. Absolutely. And so we all must always remember that as leaders, and potential leaders, is that, stay true to your core values. Do not compromise. Do not, be not willing, again, to take shortcuts, or the easy way around, manipulating things. The next thing here is leadership courage. Now, in Daniel's case, here it is, he could have very well, again, go right back to compromising. What are you standing for? Because they wanted, they passed this law, an unjust law, right, as far as Daniel is concerned. Right. And yet, Daniel didn't panic. Daniel didn't sweat it. Yeah, he just stayed true to it, saying, hey, look, I know this is the right thing. I believe in this with all my heart, my mind, my spirit. Holistic, approach, to what his value systems were. Right. And he did not, he was not willing to compromise it, nor was he willing to do it in secret. You follow me? He prayed in public, he stood in public, he spoke in public, and when it came down for him to be challenged, he was willing to be challenged. Absolutely. In public. Absolutely. You follow me? He said, you can put the light to this, and see what you see. Next thing is leadership composure. And it is never allow your emotions to make decisions for you. Reflect before you act. make sure you understand clearly what the situation entails before moving forward. Truth crushed the earth will rise again. Mm-hmm. So if what you're doing is centered around truth, don't worry about it if someone comes out there and challenge that. Because regardless, if you're doing the right thing, you may get charged unjustly. Right. But in time, the right thing is going to prove itself. There's a saying that says, no lie lasts forever. And that's true. You follow me? And at the same time, there's no truth that can ever be made a lie. It's an old saying, we're all entitled to our own opinions, right, but we're not entitled to our own facts. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So, leadership composure. Keep composed. When they come against you, things are not going right. It gets a little heated up in the room. Just calm yourself down, reflect, you know what I'm saying? Get to a place where you can get, some holistic thinking done, you know what I'm saying? And holistic thinking in this instance would be, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, and then the last, emotional wellness. You follow me? Calm yourself down. Take some time for reflection before you react. You know what I'm saying? Keep your composure. And I was saying, never let them see you sweat. Exactly. Okay? Right. And then number 7 is solution-oriented. Because in Daniel's case, he didn't let them, when they came at him and the king pronounced the death sentence on Daniel didn't start kicking and screaming and saying, I quit, I'm leaving, I'm out. No, Daniel said, okay, if this is the price I got to pay for what I believe, then I'm willing to pay that price because I know what I'm standing on is the truth. You follow me? So they put Daniel in the den. You know what I'm saying? By now, the king has figured out he's been duped by his inner circle. That's why you need to make sure that you trust but verifying the information that you're getting. Absolutely. But the king didn't keep his composure because he sweated all night. And the next morning, he runs over to the doggone execution chamber to see what's going on with Daniel. Did he make it through the night? Mm-hmm. And fortunately for the king, Daniel did. But more importantly, because Daniel was standing on what was right, he was there when the king went looking for him. He was like, I'm here, I'm good. I ain't no problem. And at that point, it's where, the king had to come up now with, how do I keep myself from falling into this trap? How do I learn from my experiences? Because that's equally important. The wise man learns, from his mistakes. Exactly, right. You follow me? I think it was, I heard John Kennedy make a quote one time. He said that, an error does not become a mistake. A mistake does not become an error unless you refuse to correct it. And I like that. He said a mistake does not become an error unless you refuse to correct it. And so that's another way of just simply saying, you know what I'm saying, is that, learn from your mistakes. Be solution-oriented. In every problem, there is a solution inside of the problem. Absolutely. So you leaders out there who are growing and new leaders, I'm saying to you, that sometimes things say, man, we got a problem. I don't know what to do. There is something to do. And the best way to look for the answer of a problem is to look inside the problem. What do you think about that, Jonathan?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So, and we were talking about it before we started the video. I said, it's almost like saying, I come here and say, my foot hurts. You know what I'm saying? Well, you can say, okay, well, too bad for you. I just stopped walking, Bill, Well, I got to walk. But I say, well, so maybe we should look and say, okay, is it my shoes too tight? Right. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need to have foot surgery, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to put some cushions in there. Oh, maybe I just need to buy a new pair of shoes, exactly. Right? Yeah. So there's a problem, but for every problem, there's a solution. You just have to be solution-oriented as you look for the problem. Yes. So just a quick, recap of the 7 things on the lessons we learned from Daniel, right? Leadership character. First, preparation brings about preference. Second, being persistent and persevere. Third, character is always important, and from a leadership perspective, being ethical. Know the ethics. Don't compromise your ethics, or the company's ethics for that matter, your business ethics. Leadership courage. Be willing to speak truth to power. Leadership composure. Never let them see you sweat. Keep your cool. Do not get emotional. You're gonna make a bad decision. And then last but not least, solution oriented. Think in terms of, okay, we have a problem. But what can we do to fix it collectively to fix it? Okay? Well, Jonathan, thank you as always. No problem. For your partnership here. We hope you are able to learn a little bit more about how to be successful in leadership. The stories of Daniel. I think that as we move forward, I think we'll be able to be a little bit better, a little bit more effective. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
All right. Goodbye.